In this video, traders, I want to talk about passing your FTMO challenge. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, so this isn't going to be a trading strategy video. This is going to be more on the psychology of passing the FTMO challenge or any other kind of challenge out there. Now, these are super popular. They've taken off massively in recent years. And I've done a video before where I've talked about how valuable or not they are. And the summary of that is I think they sit somewhere between a demo and a live account. They're good in terms of getting you to stick to some rules, getting you to be disciplined, and all these other things. Once you're funded, are they something you want to stay continued on for a long period of time? Maybe, maybe not. There are some limitations there, but that's for another video. The point is you want to pass the challenge, right? You want to say, okay, how can I pass the challenge? And you might be in a rut where you're kind of losing the challenge, losing a challenge, losing a challenge. You end up costing you money because you're constantly paying to do the challenge. So some of the major rules are around, and all different. So we're going to use FTMO as an example. These are the major rules. You have different things about when you can trade over data and you can't release and stuff like that. But the main rules are this. You have a 30-day trading period, so you have an evaluation. You have to achieve a profit target within that 30-day period. The profit target, this is for a 100 grand account, I think. Profit target is 10 grand. And obviously, depending on the size of the account, depends on how much you pay to do the challenge, etc., etc. You know this already. Minimum trading days, 10 days. So that is the number of days that you must trade, and you must kind of pass all these. So you get 30 days to hit your profit target, and out of those 30 days you must be trading for 10 days. The maximum daily loss you can have in a day is $5,000. Again, this number adjusts slightly depending on the account size you're doing, but for a 100 grand account it's 5,000. The max loss, so overall loss, is $10,000, and your profit target is $10,000, and that's the first kind of phase of everything. It's slightly different after that, but let's look at this for now. So what are the challenges here? So I think the biggest challenge, or one of the biggest challenges that traders have, is the pressure that this 30 days applies to you. Now you might be thinking, well, it's only 30 days, but in fact it's more like 20 days because you've got, depending on where it sits, you've got the weekends, maybe you've got a bank holiday and stuff. Now, if you're trading crypto, maybe it doesn't apply, but that really, is a little bit more restrictive. But it's not necessarily the days, it's more a case of, okay, you feel like there's a clock ticking. And when you feel like there's a clock ticking, you have a tendency to overtrade. You have a tendency to impulse trade. You have a tendency to sit in front of the screen, and especially if you don't have the ability to trade the days you want anyway, let's say you've got a job, let's say you've got other things going on, you're going to feel, oh, you know what, I need to make that 10 grand by, and I've only got 20 days, and 2 days have gone by, and especially if you then go into drawdown, you start to think, well, I haven't got really much time to make it back. And so that encourages, in my opinion, overtrading, and overtrading is the absolute nemesis of any trader. And in fact, there's videos where FTMO have published, and they've talked about, some of the commonalities, and not, they sort of picked out some people who have made a mess of their accounts and failed the challenge. And the common theme, bar none, is overtrading. Very, very high frequency trading stuff that's, I don't know what specific strategies they were trading, but you could see by the frequency of trade that it was just way too much. And then they get caught out on a loss, and it would just wouldn't work out too well for them. So just forget about that. Try to forget about how long it takes, and just say, listen, my job is to trade, and I'm just going to trade as well as I can. I'm not going to look at the profit target. I'm not going to look at how long I'm going to trade. I'm going to trade if there's opportunity. Now, if you don't get any opportunity, then you don't trade. If you do get opportunity, you do trade. Now, that's great, and that sounds great in theory, but I do also think that, okay, once you're into maybe the last few days, you've got nothing to lose then by swinging for the fences, right? That's a case of, that's not proper trading. That's not how you would trade in real life, but this isn't real life. This is a challenge. If you get to day 28 and you're a bit short, or you're way short, you may as well just swing. You may as well just do whatever size you can on whatever instrument you can, and almost be reckless, but understand that this is just to try to get you over the edge, because there's no way of you getting over the edge if you're so far off the mark. And that isn't really the best way to approach things, but if you're looking at it from just passing the challenge, you almost got nothing to lose then. If there's no way you pass and you've got a day left, you may as well just swing. Okay. Minimum trading days, 10 days. This catches people out again. I think you need to, again, ignore this and say, hey, if I pass the challenge and make 10 grand in a day, then just go and trade a very, 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 very smallest size possible for the next 9 days. And say, okay, I've passed the challenge. If I trade the very small size possible, just take one small trade with a very tight stop on it, then I'm still going to pass the challenge. You know, there'll be some people out there who pass it and go, hey, well, I've got 5 days, I'll trade properly. At the end of the day, again, it's not how you would trade in real life, but your job is to pass the challenge. So forget about the 10 days and just say, hey, I'm just going to trade. Now, you'd think, why would FTMO add that in there? Why would they add the rule? Because they know that some people will have a lucky trade, maybe they'll take a trade, they'll go off, they'll come back, and it's made a massive amount of money, they pass the challenge, but then they know that people will try and trade again and they'll end up losing. There will be people out there who've made that 10k, maybe they made 12, 13 and they've gone back under and lost the challenge. Just don't do that. Just forget about that number. Don't let that pressure you, nor the 30 days pressure you. Okay, max daily loss. So most people probably struggle with these two things, right? The drawdown and the max loss. The max daily loss is there obviously because that's kind of a good golden rule to stick to. We don't want people swinging match size around. So you should accommodate your position size to suit, and you should have some rules and structures of the way you're going to approach it. So you should say, hey, listen, I've got to make 10k, my max daily loss is 5k. I think personally, if you're trading and you're going close to that limit, that's too much size. You don't need to be trading that much size. If you're trying to make 10k and you've got 20 days to do it, why don't aim for 2k a day? In which case, or 2.5k a day, and your max daily loss should be half that, $1,000 a day. You don't need to be swinging so much. You didn't give any room for maneuver. And so adjusting your position size small, and trying to get yourself into a position where you can add to the position and build on that momentum is a far better way than swinging straight away with as much size as you can and kind of getting very, very close and getting frustrated. And one more thing I think that causes a lot of traders to really struggle with this is trading too actively. Again, from the beginning, but trading too actively, you have to be so accurate. And if you mess it up slightly and you go on tilt, then you're going to hit that stop loss. You're going to get frustrated. You're like, oh, I did it right, I gave it back. Just take your time, relax a little bit, think about your plan and your strategy. How can I get the bigger move? How can I be less active? How can I dial down my trading frequency? And that really just helps calm things down, because over trading and going on tilt is what causes that max daily loss. The average person will be kind of making some money, losing a load, making some money, losing a load, they're getting so frustrated, swinging the bat, missing, and they hit the max daily loss. And so be aware of that, but have your own in place. Say, okay, that's a max daily loss, but I'm not going to risk more than half that on the day. I'm not going to risk more than 2.5, because really, how many times have you come to 4k down and then recovered it all in the day? Most of the time, if we're not trading well in the day, that's going to follow us through for the rest of the day. So generally speaking, just stopping trading when you're down a certain amount is a good thing. And then the max loss, of course, is just the compounding effect of all that. So you got constant days. And again, I wouldn't even get anywhere near that. I'd be like, okay, if I've got 2,500 max daily loss, hey, if I have 3 losing trade days in a row, I'm going to be done. I'm going to be done and walk away and come back next week. 7.5 grand down, that's more than enough. Okay, you got a bit of cushion there, but you're out of tune. And you're going to have to think, hey, the conditions aren't really conducive for me. My mindset's all is screwed up. Everything's just not right. Nothing is aligned for me. I'm going to recenter myself, refocus, come back. Maybe conditions have changed. My mindset will be fresh. And yes, you're in drawdown. Yes, you're close to your max loss, but you have a much better chance of doing it than just trying and hoping to get out of it. And then the profit target. Again, this is another one I think that should be just ignored. It's like, just trade well for every single day you're in front of the screen. Look for the right opportunities and then see if that fits into line. If you trade well and you don't focus on swinging for the fences and you don't focus on how long you've got to trade for and all this kind of stuff, it removes a bit of the burden. You know, it's smart in a way that it's applying a slight pressure that's just enough to make most people crumble, because most people don't pass even the first phase, let alone the second phase. So don't let that burden you. Say, hey, you know what, I'll trade as well as I can for the period, for as long as I need to. But of course, if you're in, let's say you've got 1 day left and, you know, maybe you're a bit shy, then fine. You can throw all the rules out the window and say, hey, this is going to be a reckless day just to try to get over the line. I've missed it, I'm out of thing with this, then fine, do it. And the same thing as being aware of that. If you're up 9.5 and there's a trade and it's running and your kind of target is another grand and it goes £500, $500, $600, you don't need to hold that then. There's no upside, because again, you're trying to pass the challenge, so just cut the trade. But then say to yourself, hey, I'm cutting the trade purely because the target is 10K. If I was still in this trade, I would be holding it for further targets. So it's having that separation between the challenge mentality and the trader mentality. Try to forget you're in a challenge. Just imagine these are the parameters that have been put on you with a live account, and you say, hey, yeah, I can list 5, but I don't want to. I don't want to. 2.5 is more than enough. 7.5 is more enough than I put a circuit breaker in. So frequency of trade, thinking about not just using that as the max loss, creating your own that's a little bit less aggressive, and then the max daily loss, and the max loss the same, less aggressive, because you just don't want to get anywhere near it. And if you get anywhere near it, it's kind of game over. And this is the thing that, you know, many people will use that. And of course, when they're getting lower and lower and lower and losing, they might stop at 9 in a bit, but then they've got no room to breathe. No room to breathe. And by that point, they're probably on tilt, they're probably frustrated, and just go, I'll just start again. You don't want to be in that situation, because even if you do manage to pass both the phases, when you get to being funded and you trade like that, you will just end up losing it. You will make a bit lose it. The whole point of this is you develop a robust strategy and approach that can be continued through both of the phases into the funding phase. So that's what you're trying to do. Yes, at some point you have to kind of look at it as a challenge, so I might have to change my strategy slightly. There's got nothing to lose by trying to pass the challenge, but apart from that, it's just that consistency, and sometimes not trading, in fact most of the time not trading, but focusing on the time when you do have the opportunity, because that's going to give you longevity to just push through. Regardless of whether you're in phase 1 of the challenge, phase 2 of the challenge, or you're funded, you're trading exactly the same way. And all that's changing perhaps is a slight little adjustment to your R unit, which is the risk unit you're taking per trade. And that's an adjustment you'd make, by the way, for the account size you're making. You don't think about the money, you don't think about how much it is. You say, hey, my R unit is X, it's $500, it's $200, whatever it is. That's done then. Now you're trading in terms of R, trying to make 2R, 3R, 10R on each trade you take. And you think about the max daily loss limit of, okay, well, my R unit is say $250. My max daily loss is 2.5, so it's 10R, and you trade that way. And then how the maths tends to work out a little bit more effectively. So those are the things I think you should think about passing FTMO challenge. Of course, you must have a profitable strategy, but the mindset of it, the mindset of the challenge scenario, just I think needs a little bit of tweaking, and I think that'll help you out. Take care, see you next one, bye-bye.